I start with finding out if we have a quorum. Harry, if you wanted to make sure, that would be nice.
Certainly, I can go through the rule. Matt, I believe Matt is here.
Yep, here.
Marcy,
Here.
Sarah, Merrick. Yep, there's Sarah. Scott Strickland,
Hello, here.
Margaret.
I'm here.
Tammy is not here. Sarah Duckwall. I just saw her. Is she
Here, it's here.
okay. Ryan,
Here.
John McKenzie. Don't see John. And Patrick
Present.
and Andrew.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Great. We are good to go.
All right, thank you, Administrator Watson. And it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the September 7th, 2023 meeting of the Management Labor Advisory Committee meeting. And I am Patrick Priest, Management Co-Chair. And it's my distinct privilege to be able to chair the meeting today and to start the meeting as we have for the last few with an affirmation written by my co-chair, my distinguished co-chair, Scott Strickland. So I want to thank everyone for their time, effort, and participation in our work before us today. I want to recognize that it is very difficult and important work, and I appreciate and value the perspectives and professionalism that everyone brings here today. Thank you. Thank you for that really nice message. It's a good way to start meetings. And we'll go ahead and get into the agenda. We do have, this is our second meeting with a formal public comment section, and we actually have some public comment that we know about. And so the first person on the agenda is Nick Hilbers, a safety representative from the Harvard Company, and it's
Good morning, everyone. How are you today?
good. I'm doing well.
I'll put on my video here. So I'm here today to talk. I sent in a written letter to the committee. We want to look at, I'll read the letter in a minute, but basically we want to look at our occupational disease law. And with the aging workforce and all of the issues that go along with that, we feel it's time to re-engineer the last injurious exposure. We feel that it's very unfair to workers and to employers as well, and policyholders. So I'll just go ahead and read the letter because I put the time in to write it. As concerned citizens, we are writing to you about Oregon's occupational disease law, the last injurious exposure rule, and its impact on older workers. As Oregon workforce ages and workers incur more and more ailments because of age and working, this law and rule have become an obstruction to the continued employment of older workers. An obstruction we think should be made obsolete. After decades of hard work, many workers are tossed aside by employers because of the occupational disease law and liar rule liabilities incurred by hiring them. When an employer hires someone 45 or 50 plus years old, they assume all the wear and tear life has brought to these experienced workers. When the worker's shoulder, back, knee, or other body part simply wears out, under the liar rule, the last employer and workers' compensation carrier are held liable to make that worker whole again through workers' compensation benefits, even though the ailment was maybe 20 or 30 years in the making. Many of these ailments are beyond the protection of even the best safety and health programs. What is most frustrating about this scenario is the same workers have valuable experience, training, and skills that younger workers have yet to acquire. It seems that there ought to be a better way. If we rethink our laws and rules of workers' compensation, perhaps we can find a better way to get care for these older workers and get them back on the payroll. Let's start with the original intent of workers' compensation. It was an exchange of a worker's right to file a lawsuit against an employer for negligence for a no-fault system of exclusive remedy to provide the injured worker with immediate medical care and compensation for lost wages while they were healing. In many ways, it was one of our first social programs. It was designed in an era over 100 years ago when political values, work practices, and medical knowledge were very different. Yet, its present structure still reflects many of those now outdated assumptions, including life expectancy and retirement age. The occupational disease law and the last injurious exposure rule came along later when workers began suffering from asbestos exposure and the ailments related to that. The occupational disease law and the liar rule were then expanded by the legislature and courts to include other ailments. With these things said, we think it is time to modernize this social program by reforming Oregon's occupational disease law and discarding the liar rule. We propose the existing law be replaced with a workers' benefit fund dedicated to paying the workers' compensation claims currently covered by this law and rule. This fund could be created from a workers' compensation premium assessment. The fund could operate in much the same way as the long existing preferred worker program. Self-insured employers could participate by paying the premium assessment equivalent. Without this liability on their workers' compensation coverage, the assessment for the fund would be offset by a lower premium on employers' regular compensation coverage, regular workers' compensation coverage for occupational injuries. This fund will provide an equitable way for all participating employers and insurers to address the needs of these workers. Employers would no longer have to watch their experience modification rate, or EMR, put them in the assigned risk pool or other negative consequences due to their hiring of older, more experienced workers. It will also provide older workers with a less contentious environment when they need care due to the ailments they have incurred over decades of hard work. It can be tough for that last employer who must pay for a workers' compensation claim in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for what can be a very short period or even just hours of work for an ailment that was 30 years in the making. It is time all employers share and pool this risk and strengthen our workers' compensation system for better benefits and less litigation. As Oregon's workforce ages, assigning fault to employers and their insurers through the liar rule is counterproductive to keeping older people working. Society benefits from their skills and experience. If employers are allowed to share and pool this risk in a style described above, the outcome will be a benefit for all. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Nick, for that very thoughtful proposal and reading the letter. Are there any comments, questions from the committee members? Did I see your mouth moving, or did you have a question?
I mean, basically.
We have one question for you, Nick,
Oh, okay.
raised.
Yeah, I would just say, I'd be curious to see some data based on, how often the last injurious exposure rule is used. And you know, the age group of that demographic, you know, that are hitting those last injurious exposures. You know, I feel like we have really good age discrimination laws already in place. And I know, you know, for us as a typical hiring practice, we don't, you know, evaluate, you know, somebody's claim history when evaluating who we're going to hire. It's more based on fit and you know, their experience and stuff like that. So I'd just be curious to kind of see how often the last injurious exposure is used and the results of that.
I just know in construction, we have lots of claims experience of exactly what I've talked about. We had one worker that came on and worked for about 3 or 4 hours and ended up incurring a $400,000 workers' comp claim. And it does happen. And we aren't the only one. These people, they go through life. We're living longer, which is part of it. I went and saw my doctor last week, and he goes, you know, Nick, we weren't really designed to live much past 40 or 50. And our bodies just aren't, any of us that are over 40 or 50 know that, you know, these things, you know, things like carpal tunnel, you know, it can be a, you know, does it happen because of the job? A lot of times we put doctors in these positions to be God and say, oh, it was caused by this. And, you know, with all due respect to their medical opinions and everything, you know, we're putting them in a place and they're making the easy decision because they're put in that place to play God. And they don't know where it came from. But based on the evidence presented, that's the best thing they can come up with. And we all know, like with hearing, people listen to loud music, people don't wear their earplugs, people, you know, they work at home, they don't wear their earplugs at home, and then we're stuck with a $70,000 hearing loss claim for someone who worked for us for 3 months, who's been in the trade for 30 years. And, you know, I'm not saying that these people don't need medical care, because they do. But what I'm looking at is the way we finance it, because we tend to finance it through an indemnity-based system rather than a benefit-based system. You know, we want to pay out that permanent disability rather than taking care of more people and making that system more approachable as a way of keeping people on the payroll rather than paying them off. Like with asbestos, you know, there was some liability there because of the nature of the substance and everything like that, you know, people started incurring asbestosis and stuff like that. And, you know, people wanted to go after these people because they, you know, were being less than, you know, well, they weren't caring for their workers maybe the way they should. However, the stuff we're seeing now, it's just stuff, people getting old. And we're on the hook for it. And I don't know how much casual labor you guys use, but, you know, our workers, you know, we're in construction. They come, they go, they come back, you know, and they shuffle around. And we share them, you know, we go, hey, you guys need some finishers? Okay, we got some. And we do that. And then somebody, and it's like hot potato when they file a workers' comp claim. And that is why I'm saying we should pool that risk and so we can keep these people working.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hilbers. We do have later on in our agenda a legislative checklist for proposals to bring before the committee, and so some of the things that we're looking for in a more formal matter for action. And so that might be helpful, you know, for you to bring this forward. I don't know if there are any other comments or questions at this time. Has a question.
Sorry, thank you, Co-Chair Priest. I just, as a committee, I hear the concern, and might it be worth an exploratory conversation with stakeholders? Just a question to take it that direction.
Mr. Hilbers, have you spoken to some of the stakeholders? I don't know with workers' compensation lobbying. Have you talked to any of them yet, or other companies?
I've been working with AGC. I've been working with Safe, our insurer. The people that I've talked to from those organizations are very enthusiastic about it. We've talked to some of our unions, the finishers, the plasterers, and the carpenters. They're all getting on board with it. We're working on getting some more of their lobbyists involved too, so that we can garner some more support. A lot of them have been very receptive to this idea. They think it's better for the worker and the employer. And you know, we can have a better society through this.
Thank you for that comment, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Any additional comment on at this time? Hearing none, but it sounds like we'll be hearing more on this concept later on. Thank you very much, Mr. Hilbers, for bringing this important topic forward.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you bet. All right, we have one more public comment section, and it is on our agenda as Dr. Sabo Jr., but I understand we may not have that.
Yes, that is correct, Co-Chair Priest. Dr. Sabo was unable to attend today.
Is there any other public comment? Hearing none, seeing none, no hands raised, I will move forward. Thank you very much for that. The next item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Excuse me, Chair, I just want to recuse myself from voting since I wasn't able to attend the meeting. I'd like to abstain.
Okay, thank you very much. Duly noted. All right, we had a motion and a second. I lost.
I'll second.
Second, Ryan is a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes at all?
Just simply that they were a pleasure to read and like the format and the way going forward. So thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Baba.
For that. All right, having no further discussion on it or concerns from anyone, thank you very much, DCBS, for that excellent work. I would call for a vote. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Heard a sound. Was that an opposition? I couldn't.
It was the ambulance going by. I'm sorry.
Are they concerned about it in an emergency? No, okay. I don't think, all right, so that motion carries. Thank you very much. All right,
Co-Chair, I'd just like to bring to your attention that John McKenzie has joined the group, okay?
great, thank you, and welcome, John. I did see him join the meeting, but. All right, the next item on the agenda is department update, so it is my pleasure to hand it off to the department.
Okay, I believe we're gonna go to Workers' Compensation Board. Lauren, do you have an update?
Okay, thank you, Terry.
Oh. Lauren, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Very, not really.
Faintly, I'll speak louder, sorry.
Okay,
No updates today, thank you.
okay, great. And then we're gonna move over to the division, and Sally is gonna give the update today.
Good morning, co-chairs, committee members. I'm Sally Cohen. I'm the administrator of the Workers' Compensation Division. Thanks for having me here with you today. Today's update from WCD is that you may have seen our news release yesterday afternoon, but the department did announce out that workers' compensation costs are set to drop in 2024. Again, this will be the 11th straight year that employers' costs will decrease. This is due to the National Council on Compensation Insurance, NCCI, recommended a 6.7% decrease in the pure premium rate, and that is the base rate that insurers use to determine how much employers will pay for medical costs and lost wages on work injuries. And the department's actuaries reviewed that recommendation and is approving that recommendation. So there will be a 6.7% increase, or excuse me, increase, good slip up, decrease in the pure premium rate for 2024. Related to that, then annually the department sets the 2 assessment rates. And so the director has proposed that the premium assessment rate, which funds the administration of the workers' compensation system, so it funds the workers' compensation division, the workers' compensation board, Oregon OSHA, our 2 ombuds offices, and then the central services to support that administration of those programs. We are proposing that the premium assessment rate remain at 9.8% for 2024, which is the same as it has been for the last couple of years. Our economists reviewed and did a proposal on what our expected revenues and expenditures will be, and have determined that we'll be able to continue to fund our continuing service levels at that 9.8% premium assessment rate. Also, along with the premium assessment rate, the director also proposes annually the WBF Workers Benefit Fund assessment rate. And so the director is proposing to decrease that rate from 2.2 cents per hour worked in 2024 to 2.0 cents per hour. We did issue a news release and Gov delivery notices yesterday. Members, you should be on the distribution for those. If you did not get the Gov delivery notice, let us know and we'll make sure to get you on the distribution for that. But we proposed the notices list the proposed rates and also the information about the public hearing. In both instances, we will have a public hearing for the premium assessment rate and also the WBF assessment rate. The hearings will be on September 21st. One is at 3 p.m. and one is at 4 p.m. And there's links if you would like to participate in the hearings. We would welcome your participation on September 21st. So that's our good news to report out to you about the state of the workers' compensation system in Oregon. It's due to our effective system compromises and working together with management and labor, which your committee helps in a very important leadership role for that. So we appreciate your service on this committee. You're helping to contribute to this successful system that we have. Andrew, is there anything else you'd like to add about our assessment rates?
Nope, Sally, you did a great job.
Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
There is one from Sarah Duckwall, or 2.
Thank you. No questions, Sally. Thank you for that information. Just how do we make sure we're getting those notices? Maybe Terry can ensure that everyone on MLAC does, because I just scanned through my email from yesterday and did not receive it.
Yeah, we'll make sure you're on the distribution notices. Absolutely.
And can we get the one from yesterday as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Brooklyn has a comment or question.
Quick question. So I know, inflation has averaged relatively high recently, comparably, historically, and healthcare costs typically go up even higher than inflation. So these premium reductions, do they account for that kind of inflationary increase, or that is, inflation, say the cost of healthcare goes up 9% and that all of that's being absorbed plus an additional reduction in 6%. So really it's kind of a net 15% reduction in cost year over year. Is that a fair way of characterizing that?
Thanks for the question, Scott. I'll just say right off the bat that I am bad at math. So I do know that NCCI takes into account the increase in medical costs, and they have noted that medical costs are, medical inflation is indeed an issue, that the costs are going up. Their official response for the decrease this year is improvement in loss experience and loss development patterns. And so those are fancy ways of talking about the numbers of claims and the severity of claims. So even though medical costs are going up, there are fewer claims, and the claims are less severe and are not open as long as more severe claims. So it's your way of saying yes, it does balance itself out. But those things are taken into account by NCCI when they make their recommendation.
So, but fewer claims and less severe claims.
Correct.
Well, okay, great. Thank you.
Very good question. Any others? Thank you very much for that great report and that kind compliment to the committee and our work. I appreciate that very much, Sally.
Thank you, Co-Chair Priest.
So, Co-Chair, Angela is not here today, but she did get the edits to the MLAC legislative guidelines video script. So I just want to, if everybody is ready to move forward with this, she did send me an email and give me information about how long it'll take for the video and that kind of feedback. So however you want to do this, Co-Chair, just let me know and I can give you the information Angela gave to me. So, but we do have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that there was really positive feedback on it with some edits. And I believe, were any edits submitted that were not accepted?
Not that I'm aware of. I think everything that was submitted, Angela incorporated into this script that you have in front of you, or that we're looking at right now.
And I know you distributed a lot of things. Did you distribute what you're showing on the screen right now to the committee in advance? Okay.
Yes, that was the email that went out this week because I had to wait to get it back from Angela.
All right. I guess I'll open it up and see if there's any additional questions or concerns about the material from the committee. Sarah Duckwall.
Thank you, Co-Chair Priest. I have no questions nor concerns, but could we hear about the timeline of implementation once we approve it?
Absolutely. So once the script has been approved, the video production can begin in October. They have 3 video projects that they're working on right now in September. The video production will take 4 to 8 weeks. The committee will have multiple opportunities to review the drafts of the animation through production. They will not launch the video without MLAC's approval. Once the video is approved, then they'll begin the webpage to host the video with consultation from MLAC, of course. And then the webpage will go live. And the webpage only takes 1 day to complete. So that was the email from Angela.
Thank you, Terry.
All right, Scott Strickland has a question or comment.
Yeah, and I remember the discussion of the development of this was that it was all in-house comms folks that are doing it. I just wanted to make sure that there's not any utilization of SAG-AFTRA, what would otherwise be SAG-AFTRA folks on strike, that we're not utilizing scab labor for production of this. But as long as it's in-house folks, I'm very happy with that.
It is in-house. Thank you, Scott, for checking.
Are you looking for action from the committee to vote to approve the material that has been presented to us?
Yes, then we can move on with the video
Do I have a
production.
motion from the committee to approve the MLAC legislative guidelines video script as
I
presented?
so move.
Motion by Sarah Duckwall. Do I have a second?
I second. This is Marcy.
Okay, thank you, Marcy. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye.
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 I vote aye myself. Are there any opposed? Make the same sound or opposition? So it is motion is approved. Thank you very much. All right, great work with that. That was quick work, but it was really appreciated. The next item on our agenda is to review the committee's work plan. And I do have that pulled up in front of me. And I know that was distributed to the committee.
Actually, Co-Chair Priest, we had the review of the committee legislative checklist.
Oh, is that the
Sorry.
first? All right, well, I will go back. Thank you for correcting me on that. Review of the committee legislative checklist is next on the agenda, and I did review that as well. We do have a clean copy and a redlined copy that has been
Yes.
distributed to us. Are there any comments or questions on that updated copy from the committee? Hearing none. It did look fine to me to be able to act upon it. Is there any opposition from anyone to proceed with an action? All right,
Is this
hearing-
where you wanted me to insert mine, Patrick?
So Nick, I think once this is approved, then this would be the guidelines that we would ask to look at to bring a more thought out proposal to the MLAC committee for action.
All right, sir. I'm
yeah.
just checking in.
Yeah, but I guess since you're speaking, if you had a chance to look at it, does all of this seem reasonable to you as somebody that you're our audience?
I'd have to look it over. It's pretty. I need some time to look it over real quick and think about it.
Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna take a vote now, but I thank you, and your feedback is appreciated.
No, and I can come to later meetings too, so.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, do I have a motion to approve the legislative review guidelines as submitted?
I'll move to approve as submitted.
Thank you.
Second.
And Sarah has seconded. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I vote aye as well. Any opposed signify by saying aye as well. Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much for that, and thank you for making sure that important document was approved. All right, so I am back on track with reviewing the committee's work plan, which was also distributed to us in advance. And
So,
that's being pulled up on the screen.
I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation. So after the last meeting, I kind of took the work plan and made it a list of topics. And then Baba, can you bring up the other draft work plan? And I took the ones that were in green and transferred them over to the work plan, because those are actually the topics that we're working on. Can you make that a little bigger, please? I thought it might be easier if we did a work plan that looked like this, so it showed actually what we were working on. And this is just a draft. Like I said, this is just an idea. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. So on the list of topics, once we complete these, we can remove them, the ones that are highlighted in green, and then go back to the other ones and just move them over. So it kind of gives us an idea of what we're working on annually. So back to you, Co-Chair.
All right, thank you very much for that explanation. This particular document that's shown on the screen or on my screen is what I reviewed, and I liked the format of it. It's a little different. Is there any other feedback from the committee? Not Strickland.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I had was, I know when we'd kind of discussed previously, the time and having kind of a due date, if we could do like an estimated instead of like a due. And the main reason is that this is going to be distributed to the public. I don't want stakeholders and others to be kind of confused as to thinking, oh, okay, well, the due date is this time or this month, so we know that that'll be done. I know government gets messy and things take time and change. So if we could kind of have a little more, I think, clarity on that being sort of an estimated timeline or ballpark date or something like that, that might be helpful for communicating with members of the public.
Sure.
A very good comment. Margaret, I saw your hand raised for a little bit and then you pulled it down. Did you have the same question?
I had a similar comment to Scott, but I really like this table format. I think it's clear and it's easy to understand, and I really appreciate this table format.
Great.
There's a lot of love for your work, Terry. Thank you very much. I see a question from Sarah Duckwall.
Thank you, Co-Chair Priest. I would just like, when it gets to finality and completion, that we actually mark a completion date on our general work plan, so we know what we completed, and so everyone can see progress and movement forward. For example, I believe the legislative guideline document can be on our work plan, can be marked as complete as of today, and then can be taken off as green. So I see both documents working in tandem.
I do too, Sarah. Thank you.
For that. Administrator Watson, are you seeking action by this committee to approve the work plan itself, the format, or an informational item?
Well, I think we can approve it if everybody's okay with it, but if you'd like more time, we can, the draft, or excuse me, the work plan, we've had the list of topics for quite some time. It's the table format that is different. So I guess it's more up to the committee what they would like to do.
All right. It seems as though the work plan to me has been a living document rather than something that we vote on. We more discuss and then add and subtract things, but I'm okay it being a discussion rather than an action item. Is there anyone who feels differently? Hearing none. Is there any other further comment on the work plan itself? Hearing none, I will move forward. And the next item on the agenda is workday training issues.
Is anybody having any issues with Workday? Do you have an update?
I will actually, yes and no. So I know that I left it with, for me to have access to being able to send encrypted emails to all of you, because to give you what's called your OR number, which is essentially the number that you need to access Workday. For reasons unknown to me, outside my control, I don't have an account, but I do have another plan, and I will work with Terry. What we'll do is we will encrypt. I have the availability to encrypt Acrobat PDF files, so in which we can provide copies for each member. So you'll receive an individual email with your encrypted email that includes what you have to date on your required training, and then that will include your OR number. And then we also have some standard instructions on how you can access Workday generally to log in. And then I also have the links to each of the 3 trainings as well. So you don't have to search for those. But you can't so from clicking on one of those links, you'll have to log into Workday. But hopefully, I think my last step is just getting all the emails encrypted, the PDFs encrypted. I'll work with Terry on that because I don't believe I have access to your training reports anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I can, yeah, so we're on it. So, and I apologize for the delays. I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Okay. Okay.
But Plan B should be, that should be much easier to do.
Okay. The other thing is that we have a new member that will be confirmed at the end of the month. Her name is Stacy Llewellyn, and she is with Fortis Construction. So she will be taking Tammy's place. So,
And then the confirmation, her confirmation hearing will be on the afternoon of September 27th. And then the executive appointments floor session will be on the morning of Friday, September 29th.
Okay. Is there any plan for a training program similar to what I got when I started and was onboarded? Okay, good. I think that's.
yes, I've talked to her a couple times. We've had a few conversations, so.
All right. Well, I know I finished my required trainings. I don't see anyone expressing concern. So I think that item is officially done. I think the workday training issues are solved. Thank you very much for that. All right, the next item on the agenda is upcoming meetings. And I would imagine this is just more of a reminder and informing people of what's the next thing is October 5th. And that is recommended to be an in-person meeting. And I know Ms. Watson was looking to where to host the meeting. And I don't know if you had any comments or questions or would like feedback from our committee about the best location.
Yes, well, we talked about possibly having it in the Durham location or in the Salem location. So open to either one, just wanted to offer that up. So it's up to the committee.
Margaret.
Patrick, maybe we could figure out where people are coming from to decide whether Durham or Salem is going to be most convenient for folks.
Sure. I live in Tigard and I work in Wilsonville, so Durham is closer for me, but Salem is no big deal. How about you, Margaret?
Yeah, I live in Southeast Portland, so, you know, after 9 years on the board, my car knows the way to Salem, but Durham is a bit closer. But I also want to be aware that it's not just, we have, I don't know if the WCD and department folks are going to want to be there in person, so we'll have to figure that in.
The DCBS. Oh, Marcy, I see you have your hand raised.
I'm fine wherever, because all I do is drive, but I'll be flying back from Boston the previous night. So we're just going to hope that I actually make it back in this day of airline travel. But I plan to be in person wherever it is.
Okay, good. Look forward to seeing it.
I'm in Eugene. This is Matt. I'm down in Eugene, but our ONA's office is in Tualatin, so I'm up there all the time. So either works for me.
So basically what I'm hearing is we have a lot of really picky people and absolutely no flexibility about where we meet. So Patrick,
Yeah.
I'll leave it to you and Scott to figure that out with the administrator.
Yeah. Well, for the staff that are involved, I know that's an expense for the division as well. So, I mean, do you have a preference as to where it is and where your team that supports us is coming from?
Don't have a preference. It's okay. We can go to either place.
Is there a DCBS office in Ontario that we could use?
Now that's pushing it. Scott.
That's pushing it. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm from there. I can visit family, but no, we actually, the board, when they do hearings, they actually borrow space. They rent space from a facility.
All right, Scott, I heard that we got to pick. Do you care where it is?
I don't have a preference either way.
Okay. All right, well, we'll talk about it at our next prep meeting that we do in advance, and we'll finalize a location. Sounds like either of those is agreeable to our committee and to those that support us. So thank you for that. And then November 2nd is the meeting following that. That is a hybrid meeting. You can't, they will be, Terry and Teresa will be where they're at right now in Salem, and we can sign into Zoom. And I think that is the end. That's an informational item. Are there any other items to bring before this committee? All right, hearing none, I guess since we're ending so early, I will seek a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Also move.
Thank you, Margaret. Do I have a second?
I will second. This is Matt.
Thank you, Matt. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I vote aye as well. Are there any opposed?
Aye.
Marcia, are you opposed? Did you want to meet some more? All right, good. All right. All right. Well, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for your effort supporting us and participating. So, and listening. Thank you. Have a great day.